Feels like FaceTime, huh? All right, since I have abbreviated hours at St. Joe's this year, I didn't want you guys to miss out on some of the lessons that I normally do with middle school. And this one is a big one. And we're going to talk about self-talk today. And hopefully you guys in there, pretend that I'm going to call on somebody who could tell me what they think self-talk is. Coach Rex, you can pause here and get a definition. Okay, I'm going to give away the definition. This is how you talk to yourself in your head, naturally. And you have no idea how important it is. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's important with how you communicate with people, what you're doing in sports, when you are taking a test, when you get up in the morning, how you set yourself up for your day. This is a part of every human journey, and it's really important. All right, here we go. Self-talk is the internal narrative that you hold about yourself. It's your inner voice, and you may or may not have spent much time thinking about it or giving it any attention. Well, now's the time to start thinking about it. It's a mix of conscious and unconscious beliefs and biases that we hold about ourselves. So some of these thoughts that pop up in our head about ourselves, we're conscious of. Other things come up out of nowhere, which would be unconscious, and that we don't have any control over when those thoughts and how those thoughts are coming up. But a lot of those thoughts we do have control over. And that can make all the difference in how you feel about yourself and the world around you, knowing that you can control some of those thoughts. All right. Here's a little background on the scientific power of thought.
For years, scientists believed that the brain was static, unchanging, and locked, but our understanding has changed drastically to the point where we now see the brain as plastic and constantly changing. But what if I told you that simply thinking could affect not only the way your brain works, but its physical shape and structure as well? It turns out this is exactly what happens. From a neuroscientific standpoint, imagining an action and doing it require the same motor and sensory programs in the brain. For example, if you were to close your eyes and imagine the letter B, the primary visual cortex lights up in the same way it does when you look at the letter on the screen. Take a moment and imagine yourself writing out your signature with your dominant hand. Chances are, the amount of time it takes you to simply imagine doing it is similar to how long it actually takes to write it out. Try doing the same thing with your non-dominant hand and it actually takes you longer to write and imagine. How is this relevant? Well, because imagination and action are actually integrated and engage the same neural pathways, practicing one actually influences the other. One fascinating study took two groups and had them practice piano for 2 hours a day, except one group was only allowed to use mental practice. They couldn't touch the piano, but would sit in front of it and imagine practicing. The surprising result? The exact same physical changes took place in the motor cortex of both groups. And after 3 days, their accuracy in playing was the exact same. Beyond 5 days, the physical practice group did begin to excel faster, but the imagination group, when given the chance to practice physically, was able to catch up to their skill level quickly. Perhaps more incredible is an experiment which used imagination in an effort to strengthen muscles. Both groups did the same figure muscle exercises for 4 weeks, though one group simply did it mentally. Those who actually did the physical exercise increased their strength by 30%, while those who imagined doing it increased their muscle strength by 22%. This is because the neurons responsible for the movement instruction were still being used and strengthened, resulting in increased strength when the muscles actually contracted. So, while your thoughts don't have some mystical or magical power, mental practice is an effective way to prepare for a physical skill. Each thought actually changes the structure and function of your brain by affecting the neurons at the microscopic level. Though, as much as we wish you could sit there and become the next Mozart, it won't happen without a lot of hard physical work. But a little imagination never hurts. This episode of ASAP Science is supported by Audible.com, the leading provider of...
All right, how about that? So, when you think about the power of thought, I'm going to go back into my presenting mode. Yep, you guys are talking about it. It's funny. We're going to try to make that. We're just going to move on. Okay, so let me give you some examples of self-talk. So now we've established how important thoughts are. They can literally make or break a direction that you're going in. So when it was talking about the study with people who were learning how to acquire the knowledge of playing the piano, that what you visualize and what you are saying to yourself in your mind is just as important as what you're physically doing. All right, examples of negative self-talk. Could be, others are better than I am. This is a common thought in middle school where you're starting to compare yourself in a way that you never have with other people. And I think that in our culture, when you talk about social media or any magazine you pick up or anything you see on television, we really idolize celebrity. Everyone's always comparing themselves to the best possible self. All right, other examples. My opinion doesn't matter. Another situation that often comes up, if you are kind of prone to be a person who doesn't tend to feel comfortable speaking up, this might be why. You might think no one wants to hear what I have to say. That would be an example of negative self-talk. I just have to be perfect. Putting a lot of pressure on yourself. Is you putting pressure on yourself? It might be that your parents have high expectations for you, or your teachers do. Very true. But you have your own expectations for yourself. And a lot of us have this, I need to be perfect kind of idea. And the more we tell ourselves that, the more we're setting ourselves up to fail, because there is no such thing as perfect. Another example of negative self-talk. People won't like me if. That's a very prominent thought in middle school. All right. Let's give you some flip side examples of positive self-talk. I have the power to change my mind. What if you said that to yourself when you were having a negative thought? What if I woke up in the morning and I went, man, I look terrible. If I thought, but I have the power to change my mind. My eyelashes are rocking today. Maybe that would be one way to motivate myself instead of feeling bad about myself. Attempting to do this took courage, and I'm proud of myself for trying. Even just going, man, I'm proud of myself today. I got through the day. Giving those messages to yourself are positive. Even though it wasn't the outcome I hoped for, I learned a lot about myself. Imagine if you said that to yourself. I might still have a way to go, but I'm proud of how far I've already come. Right now it's noon, so I could say that to myself. I will give it my all to make this work. Self-motivating. I can't control what other people think, say, or do. I can only control myself. That, if you remember no other positive self-talk phrases, this is a big one, because a lot of reasons why we get upset with the world or our friends or our parents is because we can't control them. We can't control what they think or their outcomes or what they do or say with us or to us. We can only control ourselves. This is an opportunity for me to try something new. What if you thought that? You encourage yourself. Okay, we have this word called reframe. So I've been kind of trying to lead into that. When we talk about negative self-talk, when you start breaking yourself down, how can you reframe your thought to be able to build yourself up? I hope you can see this. These are some really good examples. I'm going to move in a bit. So if I say, I'm so dumb, you could instead say, I made a mistake. What if you said, I'm a bad person, I can't believe I did that? What if you only just thought about the action itself and said, I did something bad, but maybe I can get myself out of it by undoing the harm I did? What about, I'm not good enough? Reframe that thought and think, I am enough, and I'm worthy too. These are examples of ways to reframe common thoughts that a lot of us have. All right, so now it's time for you to put into practice some kind of thought that you think. What I've done with students in the past is I've said, think of something that you wish someone would say to you today. It's something you really need to hear. And write it down on a card that Coach Race is going to hand out to you. And I have some examples of cards that students at St. Joe's have made in the past if you need a little boost to try to help you figure out what you're going to write on your card. This is tough, but so am I. 7th grade student a couple years ago. You don't have to be the best to be good or even great. And that's awesome. All of my feelings are okay. Totes. Okay, I can persist through anything. If you said that to yourself for the rest of the day, how would it change your day? I tried my best, and I will try harder next time. That's like a current motivator and a future motivator. I have a purpose. As a boy who wrote that, by the way. I am good enough. I want to give up, even. Excuse me, I want to give up. Rephrase. I won't give up, even if it's difficult. I am my own person, not like everyone else. You don't need others to like you, to love yourself. Preach. Y'all are so smart. Smart. Every failure is a chance to do better. It's very Yoda. Okay, now it's time for you to put into practice self-talk and something that you need to hear. And what I or Coach Race will do for you is laminate that card and give it back to you. So what you need to do on the front is write whatever you need to write that's going to be your positive self-talk. And then on the back, put your name very clearly if you want this back. And a lot of people keep it. Use it as a bookmark. Let it be a part of something that you keep and feel good about. So, peace.